Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin Manaman, Chief Executive, Southern California Market. We have a big go live coming up on May 15th, and there's been lots of rumors and uncertainties on how that's going to go. So I wanted to take the opportunity to spend time with Dr. Michael Marino to ask a few questions. So what do providers need to know about training? Does it vary by specialty? What's the plan?
Training is designed specific for individual specialties. It's not all the same. And on average, you need about 4 hours to do the initial part of the training, which is all virtual. It's self-guided. You can pace it as you want. And the reason we did that is the feedback we got early on is, people didn't have time to sit in a classroom, after hours or, break up their day. And then COVID, as we all know, over the last year, really pushed the team to build out training that was self-guided and self-paced. And the feedback's been fairly positive. So you need those 4 hours to just basically understand how to navigate through Epic. And then we do something called POWs, which stands for Provider Optimized Workshops, where if you're a cardiologist, if you're a critical care doc, it's taught by a physician in your specialty, and they walk through what it's like to be a cardiologist within Epic. That's kind of it in a nutshell.
Just to recap here, there's the initial training, which everybody needs to do self-study, and it varies depending on your specialty and if you're having inpatient, outpatient capabilities. So that's the basic training. And then there's a provider optimization workshop, which you mentioned. How important is it for people to spend time doing the POWs?
We actually had somebody working on their PhD in Eastern Washington who looked at people who went through POWs training and people who didn't go through POWs training, and how fast you get back to a normal workflow, how productive you can be in Epic is really much better with the POWs. When we, Providence, first started doing Epic, we just did the basic training. Here are the buttons, and it didn't matter if you were a neurosurgeon or a dermatologist. But we found over the years that having somebody within your specialty really work on what it is that you do in that specialty within Epic has just been huge. Because otherwise it's just, it's a software platform and it's got a bunch of buttons to click. But how you care for patients in the ambulatory setting, in procedural settings, in the inpatient setting is specific to the kind of physician you are.
So when people want to sign up for the POWs, just remind people of the process so they can just reach out to their local medical informaticist, or do they go to a specific website? How do they make sure they sign up over these next 3 weeks to spend time getting optimization work done?
Yeah, the sign-up's all in HealthStream, but if you're struggling with that, the clinical informaticists at your local ministry are there to help.
So Dr. Marino, what is the plan for the go live? There's been lots of rumors swirling around that we're going to have limited resources. There's only limited resources here for a couple days. There's been all sorts of different rumors, but as we kind of dive into the go live plan, I think it's a little different story. So can you talk about the support structure for the go live dates?
Let me kind of address the rumor and I think how the rumor started. So, we've been planning this for the last several years. We had a specific plan of how we would support in person. Then if you think back to the beginning of this year when we had almost 2,800 COVID patients across the health system, everybody was like, you're not going to be able to support in the hospital. So there was a bit of a conversation about, how we would pull back. Then, thank God COVID's numbers are way down. So we are back to the original staffing plan. There will be over 1,000 people over the 2-week go live period, in Orange County High Desert supporting. The staffing is varied. If you think about, somebody I can touch, somebody who will have a blue lanyard on, will have one local super user and one SME, an informaticist, somebody that we hire from one of the big consulting companies in each department in the acute ministries, and then about one person per clinic. We also have something called the Epic Support Team, which is people on my clinical informatics team that are there 24/7, and there's a phone number you can call, or when you're in Epic, there's a live chat function. So we'll have at the elbow support, remote support. Our experience over the years is what'll happen is we'll staff one way, and then what we'll find out is an area in the hospital doesn't need hardly any help. Everybody's very competent. You know, there are a lot of people that use Epic other places or trained with Epic, and they're like, oh, I got this. I just needed to understand our workflows. And then, so we have something called the Clinical Engagement Center where you can call if you're struggling or if you don't have enough resources on your department, and we'll marshal resources around Orange County and High Desert in real time. So again, over 1,000 people. We will be there for the first 2 weeks. That's the way we've done this hospital after hospital over the years, and it seems to work just fine. 24/7 on the acute side, during normal business hours in the ambulatory things.
There's some new tools that will be available to us in Epic, Dr. Marino, that really help us understand the usability that people have, how long they're taking to do it. So this analytics tool that is within Epic called Signal will give us an idea of who's struggling and who's spending a lot more time documenting a note or spending more time in order sets. Can you talk a little bit about how we'll utilize that tool post go live to really narrow our focus on who needs additional support and help?
So there are actually two tools in Epic, one that's provider centric called Signal, and another one that's called NEAT, which is nursing specific. And Epic, you know, largest EMR platform in the world today, lots of experience and really important on how they drive things forward. Built this so that you could have focused support, because our model in the past has been, you know, we would go out and we would talk to who would talk to us. And the reality is we'd end up talking to the same people over and over. And what we do with these tools is you can tell if people are spending time after hours, if they spend too much time per Epic standard pre-charting or completing a note. And it has a little bit of a lag from a temporal standpoint, meaning we'll get better and better information the longer we're on the platform. But to Kevin's question or point is our intention afterwards is to use those tools to figure out who's struggling, to be able to do targeted circle back training, to go, ooh, this department, something's wrong. We didn't explain it right. We'll get back in there and can do focused training versus, you know, talking to the person who's willing to ask. Because we know as we look at the data, you want to make sure that you're focused on the people that are struggling, not just people that are willing to raise their hand.
That's really a great tool, and I think it provides a lot of intelligence for us to better identify who's struggling, because sometimes people suffer silently and just be frustrated day after day. So I'm really glad to hear that that's something that we're putting in place. Mike, anything else that our providers need to know prior to the go live? And if they have questions, you can see that we put this timeline out so you understand that we are really in the midst of trying to get people to complete their training now, really get signed up for the POWs, and then really spending the last couple of weeks practicing and then going live on the 15th.
I think the one thing I really want to stress is, even though what we heard from the majority of people is, oh, I want virtual training, we are, as we're getting closer, we're getting to that second 50% people going, well, where's the classroom? There isn't a classroom for the training, but we do, starting from April 26th through May 12th, we have drop-in labs. So instead of an instructor standing in front of the classroom, starting at X and going for 4 hours, these people are there. You can go in and you can say, yeah, I can't get in. I'm having trouble with this. I keep going over this module, but it doesn't make sense to me. We have those resources. Again, the Epic support team, you'll hear people call it EST, is available 24/7. We brought in augmented staff to not only do what they always do, which, I'm out there doing my job in Epic and I have a question or something's not functioning right, but they're actually there to help with training right now. And then the other thing is, in the local ministries, we have the clinical informaticists who've always been there. We've got some consultants floating around already in some of the ministries that need a little extra help. So all those resources, you'll have drop-in labs starting April 26th. You can call the EST helpline. You can call the helpline and you can get transferred to EST. Or the local informatics resources are really there to push for this final 3 weeks before we hit that 2-week go live period.
All right, well, Dr. Marino, thank you for dropping in with me for a few minutes to kind of walk through some of the rumors and questions that we've been hearing. I do know the anxiety will build over the next 3 weeks, but we do have a lot of resources available. As you said, there will be a lot of people on the ground, a lot of people available virtually, and specialty physicians will have access to specialists in their area where they can reach out to get specific help, you know, pre-go live and then after the go live. So we look forward to making it through this and getting to the other side, and then really having an integrated platform within our inpatient and outpatient area. So thanks again, Dr. Marino, for joining us.
And thank you for having me, Kevin.